Hi guys, latest update. I've had quite a productive brewing weekend. I've managed to brew 2 batches of turbo cider, so that was quite straightforward. Did 1 batch on Saturday and I've just put 1 batch on today, so the batch from Saturday is bubbling away fine. So that seems to be going well. I'm hoping and expecting the second batch to just continue to start to ferment just like the first one. As I'd mentioned previously, on my previous video, I'm going to dry hop the second batch with some hops. I don't know whether this is controversial or not. I certainly haven't really heard many people do it. I've heard of like people putting fruits in ciders and maybe some spices, but I've never really heard of people dry hopping cider. As I said in my previous vlog, I read the book that had a couple it was a brewing book, mostly beer, had some mead in it, some a little bit of cider, and had a couple of recipes in it. So, so 2 of the recipes I think were dry hopped, and the author of the book, said that the relationship in their experience was between hops and cider was good, and had good results, and really enjoyed doing it and enjoyed tasting it and smelling it, and I guess that's what it's all about. So I thought I'll just go and do the same. So the batch I had on Saturday, it's bubbling away fine. The batch I put on today, I expect the same thing to happen, just to continue or to start fermenting and just go like the first one is. When it gets to the point of maybe after 5 to 7 days, depending on how the fermentation is going, I'm gonna dry hop the second batch. I think I'm pretty sure I'm gonna dry hop it with my Mr. A bargain hops that I got. Delta, I think it was Delta. I need to just double check that. But I'm pretty sure the Delta hops, aroma and sort of flavour profile was pear and pineapple, so I thought that's going to be really quite complementary to apples, or at least so I think. So once after say about a week of fermentation, I'm going to dry hop that. I don't know whether to dry hop it and leave it warm. The book seems to suggest when you they dry hopped it, they cooled it down. Now my concern about that is, if the yeast goes inactive, it won't be particularly carbonated, and I don't particularly want a flat cider. I'd quite like to have it reasonably carbonated. So my concern is that if I dry hop it and cool it, when it comes to bottling, maybe the yeast will become so inactive that it won't actually carb up. That's my concern. So I'm not quite sure. Yeah, if any of you guys have any tips, please leave some comments, and please subscribe. I'm new to this, I'm just starting off, I don't have many subscribers, so it'd be nice to get a few more and get some feedback, how you think I'm getting on, and if you like what I'm doing. But anyway, related to that question, yeah, it'd be really good if anyone has any experience with dry hopping turbo cider, on cider in just general, and whether you should cool it or not. My gut feel is not to, but the books seemed said that they did that, and they didn't go into the reasons why. So we'll see. So yeah, I'm gonna, for a 1 gallon batch, or it was actually 4 litres. I'm probably going to dry hop that about 7 grams or so of Delta hops, and yeah, when they're eventually ready, do a side by side and see how it goes. So the other thing is, if any of you have been listening to my previous vlogs, I've had real problems with hitting the gravity readings on my last 4 brews of this year, 4 or 5 brews of this year. Did really well last year. You know, had a massive string of brews, home brews, where I hit the numbers, exceeded them, just bang, bang, bang. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned, that I've mentioned in a couple of previous videos, was in that time I smashed my hydrometer, and I had a backup one. Now, might be another factor. My last batch, my Banoffee Weizenbock that I just recently bottled, I bottled yesterday actually. The numbers actually aren't nearly as bad as I thought. Starting gravity was meant to be 1072, and I only achieved 1055, so I lost a lot of points there. And I was expecting, based on, assuming final gravity of what it predicted, I was expecting the batch to be about 4.5%. So I was expecting to lose like 2.5%. It was meant to be 6.6, and I think it was predicting 4.5 or something like that. So I was expecting to lose about 2%, but for some bizarre reason, my finishing gravity was considerably lower than what was predicted. Final gravity was meant to be 1021, and I ended up with a final gravity of 1009. So I was really, really pleased with that. So rather than original percent ABV was meant to be 6.6, I was expecting about 4.4, 4.5. I've actually ended up, I think it was about 6%. Is that right? Let me just do a quick calculation. Yeah, 6%. So I'm really, really pleased about that. Still obviously down. I'm still losing something somewhere, but I'm really happy that I haven't lost nearly as much as I thought. So that's the bottled and the conditioning in the garage, so that's fine. Put on a batch today. It was meant to be a pale ale. I'll actually just run through the grain bill just for interest. It's Golden Promise, Munich, Carapils, and Crystal 60. So quite basic, nothing funky there. Just a decent sort of lineup of fermentables. The dry hops, the recipe was meant to be just purely Citra. Now I've done one batch before that was just Citra. Don't get me wrong, Citra is great. I love it. You know what you're going to get with Citra. It's just very recognisable, taste-wise, aroma-wise. But at the last minute, I just decided to change the hop profile. So I decided to do 2 hops, and I've never used, is it Raku? I think it's Raku, I'm not sure. From New Zealand. I've never used that before, but it's also got like a tropical, or meant to have a tropical profile, aroma and taste profile to it. A little bit of pine, a little bit of lemon. So what I've ended up doing was I've bittered with Citra. My hop additions didn't quite go as planned. The brew day was going fantastically up to the point of the hop additions, up until sort of the last 20 minutes. I was meant to do hop additions at 60, 10 and 5, and then a Whirlpool addition. I got a phone call from a friend that I've not spoken to for quite a while, that I met on holiday. I've not spoken to him since just before Christmas, and it was really good to catch up on a video call with him and his family. He's not long had a newborn, and so yeah, I was kind of like multitasking between speaking to him, having my partner and kind of chatting away, and my daughter chatting away to their wee one, whilst like running back and forward trying to put the hops in, and so it hasn't quite gone according to plan. It was meant to be additions at 60, 10 and 5. It's ended up being a longer boil, so arguably the veteran hops have been in there, well, they have been in there longer, so maybe contributed more IBUs. I've essentially called the 15-minute edition a 20-minute edition, and then the 5-minute edition I put it in at flame out, so it's a little bit off, maybe 10, 15 minutes off, so the IBUs might be more bitter than maybe intended. It was meant to be a hoppy pale ale anyway, quite a hoppy pale ale anyway, but as it turns out, I've actually hit my numbers, and the only, other than sort of taking things a little bit slower, taking a little bit extra care in terms of the heating that I'm applying, obviously getting up to temperatures so that I'm not, ruining the grains or letting them degrade, getting them exposed to too high a temperature. Did take a little bit more care and time, both in the heating for the mash and for the sparding as well. But interestingly, I bought a new grain bag. Now, don't get me wrong, it was just like maybe a gut feel more than anything. I think it's maybe like a contribution of multiple things that are where I'm losing my starting gravity. I don't think it's just one thing. But I used a new bag today, and it just was so much better. The grains weren't as compact. They were a lot freer, just because it was meant to be the bag of the same size, but it seems to be bigger, seems to be wider. So the grains were just more spread out. When it came to the sparge, they just seemed to flow through the bag. I don't know whether my old bag is maybe blocked, or I'm really blinded with something that I can't wash out, or I really don't know. But I'm not complaining. I'm really not complaining. I don't ultimately know what the root cause is, but certainly for this batch, it seems to have been resolved, which I'm really chuffed about. So as that turns out, that's now an IPA, not a pale ale, but I'm not complaining. So there was me compensating for not hitting my numbers, increased the grain bill 10%, and then I've ended up hitting the numbers. So it's now going to end up roughly about 5.9, maybe 6%. Wasn't aiming for as high as that initially, but I'm not complaining. So yeah, a bit of a strange one. My hop profile didn't quite go according to plan. I changed it at the last minute. Didn't hit the times. Increased the grain bill, and then ended up hitting the number. So, but anyway, it seems to have worked. It's actually having only put it in the demijohn about 12 o'clock maybe, or thereabouts. It's bubbling away already. So what's that been? 7 hours, 7.5 hours. So it's not contaminated. It looks as if it's worked. So I'm quite happy about that. I think pretty much that's all my updates. So like I said, 2 batches of cider I've done. Pale ale is now an IPA. That's all my bottling done for now. So it's just those 3 batches on the go. Going to my partner and I are booked in for she's booked in for a section. We're having our second child on Thursday, unless something happens before. Hopefully it won't. So that's my brewing out the way. I probably won't be doing too much brewing, maybe for a wee while, I don't think, unless time allows. But so yeah, my time's probably going to be taken up with that. Well, it will be. So might just send on to update just to see, just to let you guys know what's going on. But that's it for now. Okay, cheers.